and welcome to this episode of In Conversation. We have with us today Mr. Dheeraj Reddy, the Managing Director and CEO of HDFC Securities, a near wholly owned subsidiary of HDFC Bank. Dheeraj has a career spanning over 2 decades in the financial services industry, spanning banking, broking, and wealth management. He is the right man to ask, where do I invest my money? A chartered accountant by training, Dheeraj has also done the Advanced Management Program from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Welcome to the show, Dheeraj. For the benefit of our viewers, will you explain to us, in simple terms, what exactly HDFC Securities does?
HDFC Securities is a leading stockbroking firm of India for over 20 years. It is a subsidiary of HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank holds over 96% in HDFC Securities. We have three large verticals in HDFC Securities: retail, which is our largest vertical, then institutional equities, which is our growing vertical, and last year we started third vertical, investment advisory services. To cater to our customers' ever-growing needs, we have been expanding our products and services suite, and currently we have products like equities, derivative, currency, commodities, global investing, portfolio management services, mutual funds, insurance, both general and life insurance, and as well as services like e-tax and e-will. So you can see that we have a gamut of financial and investment products ready for all our customers, and we offer all these products backed by a competent, unbiased research team's recommendations. So they are these all products and services goes through the rigorous analysis by our research teams before we recommend them to our customers. How do we distribute? How do we make these products available to our customers? We have multi-channel, multi-touch point strategies. For physical channels, we have 260 odd branches spread across 160 cities, whereby our 1,500 relationship managers provide personalized service to our customers. And we also have a centralized dealing desk at Mumbai. Other than the physical distribution brick and mortar model, we have our digital setup in place where we have mobile app, web-based platforms, Pro Terminal, Invest Now, and we've been investing more and more in beefing up our digital channels so that we can serve the length and breadth of the country. Core to the HDFC Group values, we put a lot of thrust on compliance and governance and risk and compliance. So we maintain gold standards in these areas. We are known for our operational efficiencies. We are known for our corporate responsibility activities.
Once the pandemic struck and then you had the lockdown, the market witnessed a lot of volatility. There were ups and downs. There were bearish phases. I don't know whether there was even a bullish phase ever during the lockdown. How did you kind of manage the situation at that point of time?
Yeah, so I can answer this question in two parts. One, how did we navigate the unprecedented volatility in the market? And second, how did we deal with the same internally to stay afloat and to keep offering our trading and settlement and other activities to the customers? Let me take the second part first. I think it was really a nightmare when the lockdown was announced. There was utter chaos. We reached out to the regulator. Regulator acted very fast and gave us this clarification that we are good to go and we are on. And then, the next challenge for us was to augment the resources so that we can stay afloat. We can make sure that our systems and are available, our IT systems are available, our risk management systems are available, and that too in the times when we were witnessing unprecedented volatility. So I can tell you the senior management team rose to the occasion. They all collaborated. They all did huddles and they got into a war room and come out with the various ideas because we were dealing with the logistic issues. We had some business continuity protocols in place. So we activated those protocols immediately. But honestly, I have no qualms in admitting this piece that we were not prepared for a countrywide lockdown, and we were not prepared for this kind of situation. So we had our own set of issues. As lockdown continued, we keep cropping up with the new and unknown issues, and we kept on dealing with that. I think it was a great experience to know how my team members and how all of us as a unit responded to these challenges. Coming back to the volatility in the market, I think because it was an event, such unprecedented event, nobody was aware what's going to happen in the markets. There was a mad rush to sell, and market was falling like nine pins. And every day, every minute, there were selling pressures on the market. So we had to also activate our risk management and cut a lot of positions, which were leverage positions, and customers were looking forward for our advice what to do. So what we did before the lockdown, we issued a report that there can be a correction in the market. So to that extent, the customers who followed that advice, they were happy and they could deal with it. But those who did not act on the same, they were grappling with the market volatility. For those who were long-term investors, we told them not to panic, stay invested. Maybe we'll help them with the rebalancing of their portfolios. And those who had leverage position, we had no choice but to advise them to square off those positions, cut those positions, and move on. So just to give you some data points, in 20th January 2020, markets were at all-time high level. Nifty was at 12,430 levels. And on March 24th, it was at 7,511 levels. So that's the kind of crash we've seen in the market in no time. So it was, again, very difficult to deal with the volumes in the market. Barring one odd occasion, I think our system could able to take these heavy volumes and could serve the customers. We were also operating with the skeletal staff only, so some impact was there on our customer service. But by and large, I think we could able to meet or exceed our customers' expectations in these difficult situations.
So, Dheeraj, tell us about the fact that during this pandemic and during the lockdown, obviously you touched upon the fact that you have a physical network. How did that come into play during the lockdown? I mean, was there a huge emphasis or impetus put on digitization that really, so to speak, saved the day?
Rajiv, as far as digitization is concerned, it is not that during the pandemic period we were looking forward to digitization. This journey started long ago. In fact, HDFC Securities is a born digital organization because the construct works like integration of three accounts: trading account, demat account, and savings account. So we always had technology and digital frameworks in place. Yes, we have seen that during the pandemic period, particularly when we were witnessing high volatility and we couldn't open most of our branches and we were operating these branches with skeletal staff, people moved more towards the digital channel. So that digitization got accentuated a bit because of the pandemic. But we were all, I think 80% plus customers were already there on the digital channel. So it was just the last leg which was missing. Some customers who were skeptical or digitally challenged. So they were the one who were doing the business with relationship managers. By calling them, they were doing the business. But we could help them to download the mobile app. We could help them to log in. We could help them to go through those steps, because that was for that our relationship manager need not to be in the branches. They could do that from their respective residences. So to that extent, it helped us to move the only last leg of the customers who were not on the digital platforms, but most of the customers were already there in the digital platforms. And we are happy that our digital platforms could able to take these kind of volume and could able to deal with this pandemic.
Do you see more and more people from semi-urban and rural India investing in the equity markets? Does having a strong branch network coupled with a compelling digital offering help?
So distribution does matter. We have these 260 branches in 160 unique cities. It allows us to actually service almost 75% of the PIN codes of India. And for investors to understand various asset classes, it is important that should be communicated to them in the language they understand. Because most of the people in India are not so well financially literate, and they do not understand the jargons which banks and other IFAs and other advisors do use. So it does help us to engage with them and clarify their doubts, help them to understand these products, and then get them to the journey. And over the period of time, when they get comfortable, the executions can still be done on the digital platform. That's not a problem. Digital platforms facilitate execution, but as far as understanding their risk appetite, their return expectations, and their horizon and their goals, it is sometimes important for us to go and sit with them and make them understand these things better.
Keeping in mind the uncertainty of the times because of the pandemic, the lockdown, unlock, and everything, is there a rethink in the way people invest in the markets, the asset class they look into, or the way they invest in the markets? Is it going to be a sea change? Is there going to be a sea change from here on as we move to the so-called quote unquote new normal?
Yeah, so post lockdown, we've seen that ABC of consumer has changed dramatically. When I say ABC of consumers, it's attitude, behavior, and consumption patterns. And that got reflected to some extent in the stock markets also. When we witnessed significant crash in the market, post that, we have seen even unprecedented recovery in the short span of time also. If you look at it from the low levels of 7,511 Nifty levels on March 2020, today we are at somewhere 10,700 odd levels of Nifty. So how we have seen such a recovery in the market? It is because of increase in the retail participation. It is because of the increase in the activity in stock market. Many customers who were not having time to look at the markets or not having access to the markets, they got, with the advent of smartphones, screens in front of them, they could able to participate in the market. And in fact, with FD rates coming down, other asset classes like real estate losing its sheen, they thought that probably let's look at this market. And that's where my worry is. They have seen from March levels to now a good secular run in the market. Intraday activity has increased, but this is not the DNA of the market. Do not operate or move in a secular fashion only. So that's where we have concerns, and we would have a lot of advice for these investors. We would want them to focus only on quality stocks and only where they are advised by a qualified research houses. So that's where we are. I think as far as asset classes are concerned, the classic asset allocation model will always remain, and that's how one should operate. In fact, the pandemic like this are the opportunity for customers to do the asset allocation. Suppose you have a sharp correction in the market, that's the time when you sell debt, sell gold, and get into the markets. Or vice versa, when you see that the markets are going, there is an exuberance in the markets, at that time you have to book profits and move into other asset classes to meet the asset allocation. That's a core fundamental of investing, and I don't think so that's going to change. Yes, there will be more, equity will be more in flavor, because in any case, in a country like in India, we were having very minimal penetration for the equities. So to that extent, it's a welcome sign that we are getting more equity participation, but I would be a bit skeptical on such unprecedented surge of new investors in the market.
How has the life been a transition for you from a banker to a security company head, and especially during this time when when an entire world is facing anxiety where the economy will go?
The transition from a banker to head HDFC Securities was very smooth, because I was moving into the same umbrella only of HDFC Group, so there was no problems at all. Yeah, it was a big change for me in my personal life, because I was operating as head of South and Central India for HDFC Bank from Bangalore, so I had to relocate from Bangalore to Mumbai, and these are two different cities. So to that extent, yes, I had some personal challenges and issues, but they were all for good. I was always fascinated with the vagaries of capital market, and I am a avid follower of capital market since my the days when I was pursuing my chartered accountancy. So to that extent, it was a God sent opportunity to head world class organization, and it's been really good. Yes, this job is far more demanding than the job I was doing at HDFC Bank, because over the years, if you are doing similar jobs and you develop an expertise, develop the core competence in that area. But if you are looking forward to challenge yourself and unshackle yourself and move out of your comfort zone, one has to take such steps. And I've been asked this question many a times, why to move out of the comfort zone? But that's where that's what defines the leaders, and I am very happy about it. And I would encourage and advise all my colleagues and viewers that at any point in your career, you can change, you can learn. You got to have a basic learning, you got to have a basic common sense and an aptitude or insatiable hunger to acquire knowledge. Then you can learn almost everything on this earth. To that extent, it's good. My family is also adjusted very well, and my daughter, my wife, they love Mumbai.
Yeah, so so beautifully answered, Dheeraj. You've been a all-round, well-rounded banker to a head of a stockbroking company that's doing so well. What is that one quality that stands out, let's say, for a banker? Because you've been both. And what's that one quality that you'll need here the most? And is there any one or two qualities that have served you both as a banker and now in this role? Since you have so many youngsters listening to you.
So the common thread between banking and broking is obsession for customers. I think at HDFC Group, we are obsessed with customer centricity. We are obsessed with creating a wow experience for our customers. Actually, something I picked up from my branch banking days in HDFC Bank, and trying to implement, trying to replicate, emulate in HDFC Securities. The customers in HDFC Securities are far more demanding than they are at the bank. In bank, we get a lot of support from the ecosystem in the bank also. Though the branches are the face of the bank, but there are, so many teams, so many people behind the scene who enable them to deliver a world-class experience to the customers. Similarly, in securities, HDFC Securities, customer do see only the platform, or maybe they engage with the relationship manager on phone, but there are so many things which work in the background. So there are commonalities in businesses. Yes, the difference between banking and broking business is that broking business is very, very time sensitive. A fraction of a second would change the transaction value. Whereas in a banking business, let's say, Neeraj, if you have to transfer 10 lakh rupees to Rajiv in his account, and you're not able to do it at this moment, maybe you will do it in 3 minutes from now or 5 minutes from now, you're okay with it. Yeah, it's an irritation. It takes some time. It took some time for you to do the same. But the transaction value is not changing. The 10 lakhs is 10 lakhs. In stock broking business, in a millisecond, the value changes completely. That's where, the availability of the systems, availability of the resources to serve them and to meet or exceed their requirements, that's something very high. We almost walk on tenterhooks all the time to serve our customers. Overall, broking business is far more difficult business than banking business. In the other difference between banking and broking, which I can, try and give you a perspective, is that in banking business, you can continue to create a book over a period of time and enjoy the net interest margin on that book. And even in difficult circumstances, even if when you are able to only preserve the book, you still make money. Whereas in the broking business, these are transaction-oriented business. These are fee-based activities. If markets are open, if you are able to do the transaction, then only we make money. Otherwise, we do not make money at all. So like for us, we have only 45 working days only in the stock market, whereas, For bank, it's a 365 days business. That's where the difference is a book and a fee income.
You've heard the master youngsters watching this interview. Take your pick, whether it's going to be banking for you or broking.
What are some basic advice to the current investors and the prospective investors of the country, those who are listening to you? Advice from a very seasoned person.
So Warren Buffett at one forum said it is better to invest in wonderful companies at fair price than invest in fair companies at wonderful price. So the gist of this quote is quality is of paramount importance. So my advice to all new investors, existing investors, to focus on the quality of the companies where they are investing. And I would advise all of you to do a proper research before putting your hard-earned money in these companies. The other thing is that you got to clearly understand what exactly are your aspirations, what is your risk appetite, what is your horizon for these investments. See, the plethora of information and noises are available these days, and they are easily accessible through social media, through business channels, and through advices from rolling over from all over from friends and acquaintances. It is very important for you to filter, to understand what is relevant, what is important for you, and then only invest in these markets. Otherwise, you would end up losing a lot of money also, because maybe in short term, you are seeing that markets have recovered from March lows and there is an opportunity, and you are able to spend time and you have information and you are able to act on the same, but it won't prevail forever. So my suggestion is that go for a quality companies, quality investment options only. And also, please adhere to your asset allocation to the core all the time. So if you have decided to put 60% money in equities and 40% in other asset classes like debt and gold, then please stick to that asset allocation. That is something very, very critical. It is proven way of making better returns over the centuries, and it would continue to prevail like this.
Dheeraj, India is primarily a lower middle income population country, and there is a huge base of salaried people. So, can you quantify some amount of their earning, what they should or they can take the risk of investing in securities and at the same time make some good money also?
For salaried class, I think the best way to participate in the market is to do a staggered investment. When I say staggered investment, I think they get salaried class, they get their salaries every month. They can invest part of their salaries, 10%, 20%, whatever they can save in equity and equity related instruments. If they understand direct equity, like at HDFC Securities, we offer various baskets, so they can choose the basket which meet their profile and which works well for them. We can also help them with the same. But if they're not comfortable with the direct equity, they have an easy option to do SIPs in the mutual fund schemes, equity related mutual fund schemes. There are enough and more schemes are available. So salaried class customers must participate in the long run wealth creation through equities, maybe 10%, 20%, whatever they can allocate. And there are enough and more instruments which are available. Salaried class also should go for a national pension scheme. That would be a more tax efficient option for them as well.
Markets, Dheeraj, as they say, are barometer of the economy. When you look at the markets today, does it tell you anything, about the future? And if yes, what does it tell you?
I'm glad you asked me this question. I know at this juncture, markets are not looking at, a market may not be reflecting the feelings or what's happening in the macro environment, particularly in the economy. There may be a gloom and doom scenario in the economy, whereas markets across the world, including India, are doing better. So I did look at it in more detail. Is there a direct correlation between markets and economy? and I could not find actually a direct correlation between markets and economy. Markets are sometime ahead, a year or two ahead of the economy, or they are lagging the economy by a year or two. These are unprecedented circumstances. This is not because of the what's happening in the economy, why that's the reason why markets are doing well. This is for a very, very different reason. That different reason is liquidity gush, what we have been witnessing. Central banks are pumping money. G7 countries alone has pumped more than $10 trillion in less than 3 months' time. And US alone has come out with the stimulus of $3 trillion. And if you look at these numbers, they are almost 10-12% of the world's GDP. $10 trillion is almost 8-10% of the global GDP. When you have such unprecedented liquidity in the markets, then definitely in the short term, the supply and demand regime takes over rather than, whether the fundamentals or macro environment is congenial or not. So to that extent, the gap is unusually high. It will not remain because the liquidity gush will not continue. At some point in time, we would see the central banks and governments will have limitations in terms of stimulus. And if we get elongated lockdown or if there is a resurgence of COVID-19 cases, then we will have more concerns and fundamental wall will come into the play. So at this juncture, at this time, I don't think so. Markets are true reflection of what's happening in the economy.
It has been wonderful having you with us on the show, Dheeraj. For investors in these volatile times, he has a simple word of advice. Invest in the better and the quality companies. Words that come naturally to a man who has spent more than a decade with the HDFC Bank family. Thank you, Dheeraj.